We just finished watching The Career Path Less Taken. What a fantastic documentary. I was so overwhelmed by the stories of the students, of the institutions, of the businesses, everybody collaborating around really specific needs of our workforce and supporting students in achieving future success. I'm privileged and honored to be with a panel. We're going to have a little discussion to reflect on some of the key themes that we heard in the documentary. For those of you who are following at home, I encourage you to use our hashtag CareerTechOhio to offer your own comments and reflections. I'm going to start by asking our panelists to introduce themselves.
I'm Cassie Paulsgrove. I work for the Ohio Department of Education with the Career Connections team, and I get a chance to specialize in career pathways.
I am Tracy Spikes. I am the Learning and Development Analyst at Central Ohio Transit Authority, and I also oversee the Vehicle Maintenance Fort Hays Career Center internship program at CODA.
And I'm Laurel Bailey. I am a second-year apprentice at the Local 189 Plumbers and Pipefitters Union, and I work for Limbach.
I'm Matt Connor. I'm a bus maintenance technician at Central Ohio Transit Authority.
I am Mackenzie Hogue. I am a senior at Valley View High School and a member of the Miami Valley Career Technical Center Agricultural Program.
Thanks for joining us. We heard in the documentary that the history of vocational education training has left people with a lot of ideas and opinions about what it's all about. And yet, we see each and every day right here in Ohio, students and their families making the choice to go into career technical education and to seeing the value and the payoff that comes with it. So I'm going to start by asking our three students here to say a little bit about what was the underlying reason that they made the choice, because each one of them made a choice to go into their career technical program. Laura, why don't we start with you?
I joined my program initially for different reasons, but I realized where it would take me as an adult and throughout my career.
Say a little bit more about how it actually happened. You were telling me that you did a visit and looked at a number of different programs. Talk a little bit more about that kind of career exposure and what it meant to you.
Sure. I found out about a field trip that was going on to the career centers, and I decided that I really wanted to do that.
Nice.
And there were 2 career centers that we went to, and I toured a whole bunch of different programs, and I ended up choosing the welding one.
And say a little bit more about what was it about welding, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't have a background in welding, your parents weren't welders. So what was it that intrigued you?
I thought that it looked really cool, and I figured that I could do something with it if I tried.
Nice, nice. Mac, tell us your story.
Well, I thought, like before I started here, I thought more about where I could be in about 6 years. Mm-hmm. If I were to go to college, it'd be 4 of those 6 years. But I just found an interest and I thought it'd be a better route to go.
Mm-hmm. Now you too had some choices, right? So you had to make a choice to go into automotive. You told me a little bit about why you were interested. Say a little bit more to our audience.
Well, I've always had an interest for automotive because when I was a young kid, I always tried to figure out what every single car was on the road when I was riding passenger. And then I tried to find out what year, how is that thing ran? Yeah. What runs a car? Everything that breaks, who fixes them? That was the big question. People spend all this money having people fix them for them. And
then you visited a place like this and found like they had an automotive program.
Yep.
And that was right up your alley.
It was right up my alley.
Great, great. Mackenzie, how about you?
So I actually started off, I was in a private school. I went to Bishop Leibold. It's a Catholic school in Dayton, Ohio. And I soon realized as I was coming to the close of my education that at Bishop Leibold that I didn't really want to continue there. I wanted to venture out and follow into what my brothers did. My 2 older brothers went to Valley View High School and they were in the agricultural program.
Oh, great.
And so I wanted to follow into their footsteps and kind of realize what the agricultural program could really lead me into like my communications love.
Super, super. So now you had some choices even in the agricultural area. Talk a little bit about your interest in communications.
So I'm a person that really does love to talk a lot, and I love talking to others as well. And so I soon found myself finding like a love and a niche for it. And I decided that I really wanted to continue in a program that would really gear me towards my end goal, and that is to go into agricultural communications. So I decided to take the jump from a different school, and it landed me here, and I'm very happy.
Yeah. Now, Tracy, why don't you chime in a little bit from the business point of view? Why is CODA a partner with Fort Hays Career Center?
Well, what happened was it came about because I don't know if everybody knows or not, but the automotive industry is losing talent quicker than it's coming into the workforce.
This is the skills gap that was so well represented in the documentary.
Skills gap that we experience at CODA. So our leadership team thought it would be a good idea to meet with leadership from Fort Hays Career Center and Columbus City School, automotive program, auto technology, vehicle maintenance. We have a full service body shop at CODA. Put those two together.
Fantastic.
Internship, career tech program. So we can build our own workforce.
Say a little bit about how many students do you have as interns, and then ultimately what's been your track record of hiring students right out of the program?
Okay, so currently we are going into our third year of the program. The first 2 years of the program we had 10 students per year. Out of the first year set of students we hired 3. This last set of students that we had, we hired 6. We offered it to 10. 2 of them chose alternative pathways. One went to college. One decided they just wanted to work on cars and not buses. And then the other 6 we hired. So our track rate is getting larger. Our CPO, she wants us to get as many as we can this year.
I was going to say, it sounds like it's really working out for you.
Now our limit is 20. So if Fort Hays, between Fort Hays, if they can give us 20 students this year, we'll take them.
Fantastic, fantastic. Cassie, why don't you say a few things about, you see it from the vantage point of trying to get businesses and education working together more collaboratively. Are there some exciting examples out there of those relationships really paying off for businesses?
Absolutely. I think it's happening in pockets across the state, and it's happening in a variety of different programs as well. So 2 of our students mentioned that they're leaving school part-time to go to work. And so one of the unique things is more schools are catching on to that policy that allows for that to happen. So we're really seeing the work-based learning component of schools and the programs that they're offering to allow for that work release happen. One example is Butler Tech is piloting a program this year with what they call their 5th day program. So students will not attend a traditional class schedule starting in February this school year, and they'll actually work on every Friday of the rest of the school year. And this pilot for this year is for the whole year, next year is the idea. So we see these types of innovative programs with schools and work-based learning programs with businesses, but there's also a wide variety of ways that we see schools and businesses partnering, whether it's through offering industry-recognized credential opportunities for students, job shadowing experiences so you can go in and even just explore what's to offer at an industry area, and then a variety of ways that businesses can get involved in classroom speaker series and things like that. So it's a wide range of benefits for, to what Tracy was mentioning about kind of the talent pipeline. And if you partner with a school district, you have an opportunity to get to know who your potential talent is, but then also for the school district to differentiate instruction and to really build options of programs for students so that it's not a one-size-fits-all, and every single student has a different example of the ways that they're interacting with their business community.
In this segment, we try to get a little deeper into what Tony Carnevale talked about in terms of the advantages of career technical education. It helps students with their academics, it improves their math and other test scores, it increases the likelihood that they're going to graduate, and it also, interestingly enough, makes them more successful in college. So I wanted to ask these students to reflect a little bit on the actual experience, because I think part of the reason that people may be hesitant is they don't really understand what they might be getting into. So students, reflect a little bit for me. I want you to think back to the first time you walked into the automotive class or entered into the welding class, or that first day of your agriculture program, or the first month or whatever. Say a little bit about what was it that intrigued you or interested you or maybe even made you a little anxious. Laurel, you want to start?
I absolutely thought that I was going to not graduate with 10 fingers.
So say a little bit more about that.
I did not know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know what welding looked like. I really had no idea.
Pretty dangerous looking activity, right?
Absolutely. So I really did think that I was not going to graduate with 10 fingers.
And so say a little bit about how did you come to know that, hey, I can do this too and it can be safe?
Mm-hmm. Our teacher focused heavily during the first week on safety. and very necessary because we are working with very hot temperatures, electricity, all that kind of stuff. So.
You wearing your mask?
Oh
and,
yeah, all of it.
Very important, very important. Mac, reflect a little bit on your earliest experience.
Well, when I first walked into the shop, I just saw all these cars. We had like, I think 10 cars up on lifts, and right then and there, I just saw a feature instantly.
Nice.
Just right
nice.
away.
Lots of tools, lots of people, you know, getting dirty and under the hood and figuring out what's wrong and making it right.
And then I started busting my knuckles on cars and wrenches, and it's all worth it.
You had kind of found your place, huh?
Yep.
Great, great. Mackenzie?
For me, I remember my agricultural program was right in the middle of my day, and I remember my first day at Valley View, I was always the new girl, but once I stepped into the classroom, I was Mackenzie, and I was 100% myself, and I felt right at home when I walked in there because I was with my peers, and I could tell like what we were about to do was about to truly change my life and really head me up for success.
Fantastic, fantastic. So now I want you to think about your total program experience. Talk to me about a high point. What was something you remember because you felt so excited that you had accomplished a certain thing or what have you? Mac, maybe we'll start with you.
Accomplishment, one of the biggest things I remember is being able to bring my truck in, my own vehicles in
Nice.
to the shop and being able to fix it and drive away with it.
Give me a particular, was it replacing an alternator or doing a brake job or giving it a tune-up or?
I think it was in my junior year. I accidentally wrecked my truck.
Okay.
And
It's a problem.
it was a big problem. And it was just the front end. I screwed up the grill, screwed up the bumper, screwed up some brackets, all that stuff. And I had to replace it quick because I didn't want people seeing my truck like that. I wanted it fixed.
Point of pride.
So I fixed it like literally the next morning. I spent hours and hours and hours. I woke up so early. I drove 50 minutes away in a wrecked truck to go pick up new parts for that thing. And once I fixed it, I was amazed. I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, and you could stand back and say, wow, I did this, right? Fantastic. Laurel, do you want to reflect a little?
Sure. During the first week or two, month or so, our teacher told us that if we worked hard and showed improvement in all of this stuff, that we would be graduating with a D1 certification, which basically is just a regular welding certification. And so when I finally got that in my senior year, I was really proud of myself because I was afraid in the beginning of the year that maybe I wouldn't get it because I didn't know anything going in. So.
And you read all the requirements for the certification, you think, how can I learn all this? But sure enough, you made it.
Exactly.
Perfect. Mackenzie?
One of the proudest moments was doing one of my very first CDEs, which is a career development event. And the first one I participated in was job interview. And what it is, it's like a mock job interview. You go in and you act like you're going in for a job. And the interviewers know that you're going in for that job, but you kind of just had to make up your own stipulations and everything. And I got second in my district as a freshman, and it was really just a really cool experience to be able to say hey, I can go into a job right now and I can really do really well. So it was just a fun experience to be able to catch that characteristic and to catch that ability.
Yeah, and build your own confidence.
Exactly.
That you can do it, right?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
And it's something that I will forever appreciate, and I hope my employers will appreciate one day too.
So let's build on that hands-on piece. What's so great about hands-on learning? Why did that appeal to you? Go ahead, Mac.
You feel like you're more connected with what you're doing. You feel like you feel more accomplished with it once you're done.
Okay. Mackenzie?
So in chemistry, you learn which wires go with which screw in that circuit. But in ag mechanics, I am physically able to connect those wires and to literally make a connection. And so it's very cool for me to be able to build upon that. So I've already learned that knowledge inside of the classroom, but being able to put that into action is something very interesting for my brain to really accomplish.
So rather than just reading about it or hearing about it, you're actually doing it.
It puts a purpose to the education.
Yeah. Laurel?
So I was a hands-on learner before this, and I knew that about myself. And outside of school and learning, I was an artistic person. And so going into welding and learning how to do all these weaves was really interesting to me because it felt like I was taking one aspect of my life and putting it into my work life.
So Tracy, it seems like this relationship you have has been fairly successful for the Central Ohio Transit Authority. Are you getting the kind of workers with the skills that you need? And I don't just mean that they can fix the vehicles, but that they also have, the thinking skills, the soft skills that so many employers tell us about. Are you getting the workers that are serving your organization well?
We are. This partnership has really changed the dynamics of our automotive program. And one of the key components to the program is that we pair up the students with mentors. And that mentorship piece is crucial to the program. The vehicle maintenance technicians that we have at CODA are the students, they kind of are guiding them from day one. They're teaching them what they know, they're building their strong skill sets, they're monitoring how they work on the vehicles. So the partnership it helps us to fill a pipeline that's so crucial to CODA and mobility. And then also, the partnership also is crucial in the fact that we sit down every year with Fort Hays and we refine the process.
Excellent.
We figure out what worked the year before, what didn't work the year before, what is an easier pathway for students to get through this program and make it better for everyone involved. How do we share this with other students, to get them into this program? Because we want more students. So,
Perfect.
So the partnership has been wonderful, and it's gotten better every year. So.
And Tracy, I heard you say something really interesting that I'm reflecting on. Each of these students studied in a very specific career field, and there's so many different career pathway options within each career field. But one thing remains constant, and Mackenzie kind of touched on this, and there's these employability skills that regardless of the career field that you're going to enter into, there's this consistent level of employment skills that are necessary for students. Often they're referred to as soft skills or 21st century skills. And so one thing that we're seeing a lot of schools pick up, and hopefully businesses are partnering with schools on this, is the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal as an option for students to earn on their transcripts and diplomas that's focused on the employment skills and the mentorship that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Excellent. I love that story because I think so many times employers sort of wait for workers to come. You've been proactive. You're actually creating the workers that you need.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to see that increasingly happen. And it's going to focus on the career tech program infrastructure that we have that's in existence today and that's going to be growing, frankly, across the state. In our final segment, we're going to be talking about the future. Because after all, we don't want our students simply to be ready for their first job. We want them to be able to make a career and have a lifetime of future success. So what I want to really understand from each of you is a little bit about your own thinking about the longer term. Because we know, as was said in the documentary, that not only are you well prepared to go directly into the workforce, but you're also well prepared for future training. You could go to college, you could almost make any number of future career decisions. Talk about what's on your mind and how you see it maybe playing out as you think about your own future. Laurel, you want to start us?
Sure. So my apprenticeship is 5 years long. And throughout those 5 years, we get college credit towards Columbus State. And we get, I believe it's 36 credit hours, and we just need 24 more in order to get an associate's degree. So that's one of the things that's been on my mind, is trying to go for that associate's degree, and as well as trying to focus on getting the certifications, as many as I can, during like the 3rd and 4th year of my apprenticeship.
Fantastic. And that point was made in the documentary that, it's not always necessarily the more you know, the more you earn, but also what you choose to learn also impacts your ability to achieve future success. And it sounds like you're not closing any doors. You've got college paths available to you, just growing with the company you're working for within the context of the union, and so forth and so on. Mac, what about you? What are your thoughts about the long term?
Well, for the long term, I know that if I stick with where I'm at, I can be retired by 55 years old, and I can be set pretty well, and I'll still be, you know, a decent age, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I'll be still wanting to do things. I'll still want to work on cars, do my own thing on the side.
Yeah. So it sounds like you see a vision where CODA takes care of its employees, and you could make a career just staying with the same organization for the long term. And who knows what might happen in the course of that. You might have interest in other things, but right now you feel like you're in a pretty good place.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Mackenzie, you're still in high school, so you've got a little bit of time to sort through some of these things. Talk about what you're thinking about for your future.
Yes, so far I've actually been able to team up with Sinclair Community College, and I've been able to take their college courses actually starting in 8th grade.
Fantastic.
And I've been able to take those all throughout high school, so hopefully I'll be able to take those college credits. And I'd really like to go to The Ohio State University and major in agricultural communications with a minor in agricultural business. So take all what I've done throughout my agricultural program and really apply that into my career pathway.
Fantastic, fantastic. So one of the challenges that was raised is, we need to help more students understand the benefits of career technical education and increase the number of students that participate in those programs. I want to ask you three to, what advice would you give to a student who is sort of, thinking deeply about, what should their high school experience look like? What should they be doing? What advice would you give them that relates back to your own experience? Mackenzie, you want to start?
Sure. So actually sophomore year, I had the same opportunity that Laurel had. I had the opportunity to go to our Career Tech Center and to kind of figure out if I were to go into a program, which one would I like to go into. And though I didn't find one that specified really in my needs, I was able to have a better grasp of what those students were actually doing and how I wanted to take that into my own education. So then I was able to take that back to my ag classroom and really figure out how do I really want to see my future and what's like my vision and how my success story is going to go.
Excellent, excellent. Mac, what advice would you give to a student?
Well, looking back on the 4 years of high school, I realized that most students do what maybe their crowd does, their friends do, so they don't really do what they're interested in. My advice would be, don't do just because somebody else does it. If you have an interest, go for it. Be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Don't be the same.
I love that. I love that because ultimately it's like follow your passion, right? You loved cars. You found a way to get your hands dirty with cars, and you're having a great time. And that makes the learning experience. You were engaged. You came to school. You finished. You graduated. You now have a great job, and you're continuing to learn and grow. And you've got a great career ahead of you. Laura, what would you advise students?
I would advise them to keep your options open, try a little bit of everything, and then narrow it down from there based on like what programs you like that you've tried out, maybe what you're good at, and kind of narrow it down from there.
Yeah, yeah. And as I reflect on the three students I'm sitting here in front of, no doors have been shut off for you. You've got so many options ahead of you. The other thing we haven't mentioned, and I bet CODA has something, is tuition assistance for employees. So sometimes you start a job with a company, and they say, "Look, we'll pay for more education for you," and that helps you solve yet another challenge that this country faces, and that's how much money and debt is being incurred by students who go on to acquire additional education. So let's build a little bit on the business involvement because obviously. Businesses are also thinking about the future. Tracy, you've shared with me, and I'm very impressed by CODA's forward thinkingness in terms of getting employees to fill some of the key positions that you have. Say a little bit more. Are there other plans in the works for CODA to do this in other areas besides auto mechanics?
As a matter of fact, there is. So we think we have the automotive piece pretty well together.
Yeah.
So we've been talking to Pegeen, we've been talking, as I said, to Christine Belcher over at Eastland Fairfield Career Center about opening up the opportunity to students who are pursuing other career fields in the career tech programs. We think that by doing that, once again, it goes back to my original statement, Building your own workforce is probably the best thing you can do. With the skills gap shortage that are out there, and with HR divisions having a hard time trying to fill positions, why not bring that into your organization through career tech and build your own workforce? That would solve half of your problems with hiring. So,
Fantastic.
at CODA, we believe in moving every life forward, so we do have a plan in terms of expanding this into other career fields.
Great, great. Cassie, we're also seeing, I mean, a lot of this conversation has been about some of the fields that, have apprenticeship programs, formal structures, but it goes beyond what we normally think of as the skilled trades. Say a little bit about what we're seeing across the state.
Sure. So, we're in a great economic state right now, which has caused, businesses are looking for more employees than what are looking for jobs, right? So there's this match that we need to help with. And what that's creating is this renewed interest in helping to better connect folks earlier on, because we need talent to come and stay in Ohio to increase our economic viability, right? So because of this talent that we're really trying to attract, some of these programs that have been around for a really long time are starting to get a facelift, right? So we've heard the word apprenticeship. We have a couple of apprentices right here in our presence. And this is traditionally something that we know to be skilled trades. What's great about the new fresh face of workforce development is that even non-traditional apprentice occupations are really starting to be lifted up as apprenticeable. So you mentioned that you're looking towards other career fields. IT is a very specific career field where there's a need for talented workforce, but traditionally hasn't used an apprenticeship model. And so we're seeing employers like CODA be interested in becoming a registered apprenticeship so that we can partner and build up that talent pipeline, right? And what that then creates is this dual-faceted opportunity for our students where they're going to get a college education and often an associate's or bachelor's degree out of it while getting paid, which tackles something really important you said, which is the student loan crisis that we have, especially in Ohio. And the documentary did a great job of outlining kind of where we're at with that.
Yes.
And career technical education sets students up for success through our Career Technical Transfer Assurances Guide opportunity, where students can earn dual credit for their career tech programs. There's also a lot of College Credit Plus opportunities for students, so that they're really accruing less debt, and we're really, through our public education system, helping to combat that student loan crisis that's happening.
Great. Well, we've covered a lot of ground tonight between the documentary and our panel discussion. And I hope you come away with a deeper understanding of the power and potential of career technical education, because so many people are. You heard from CODA and you heard from Cassie that many, many businesses are increasingly building those relationships. We're seeing many districts and places across the state and in high schools developing new and more career tech programs because they understand the value and the power. We're not closing off any doors when a student goes into a career tech program. So if you know someone, a student who's maybe bored or disengaged and maybe doesn't see the relevancy, or like Mac, feels like they're just going through the routines and they really want to pursue a passion, and that they are likely to benefit from a hands-on learning environment, whether that's in something as complicated as welding or in business or some other area. Explore those options. Talk to a guidance counselor. Go visit a career center. Talk to other students who are enrolled in those programs, because they're going to be the best testament to what is happening and how great it is. I want to thank Columbus City Schools for allowing us to use their facilities. I want to thank our great panelists. And I want to thank you, the viewers. I want you to continue to use our hashtag CareerTechOhio, and make sure you're sharing your own reflections. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to put those out and let people respond and support you as you try to understand better what your next step should be. There's a great future out there for every Ohio student, and many of them will benefit tremendously from a career technical education. Maybe it's the right thing for you.